Hi, good evening. Welcome to Sports Train. Of course, we are here on Euro 2020 Chatter on our channel. And of course, I have with me Chinmoy Roy and Akshay Ramesh, my colleagues. It's a very fascinating evening at the Euro 2020. Spain, of course, taking on Sweden. Now, when you talk of Spain, you think of the world heavyweights in football, their famous style of play, their formations, and all the legends that have come out of that country who have, over the years, made such names for themselves, and of course, the passionate Spanish football fans. But coming into this evening, Spain will be clouded by a couple of controversies. They've had a very uneasy build up to the Euro 2020, to these championships, right? Because of the coach, of course, Luis Enrique, who's here, who's playing this tournament without any players from Real Madrid, and we all know about his tryst with Real Madrid and what happened all those years ago. Well, Real Madrid fans are not happy at all in Spain, of course, not just in Spain, in India, the world over. Real Madrid fans are not happy with what Luis Enrique has done, but he's had his own reason. We'll delve into a lot of that in our show. And of course, also the fact that Spain have been hit pretty badly by the COVID-19 as well. A couple of the key players have tested positive, and there's been some issues. But I'll come straight to Chinmay, who's of course such a familiar face on Sports Today. Chinmay, all geared up for Spain. We all know about your passion. Akshay has also joined us live right away. He'll be covering the he'll be covering a couple of these Euro games. As Euro, Chinmay, if I can start with you, I know your passion for European football. Tell me, somebody who's also associated with the sport so closely. What would be the mood in that camp like right now? We're talking of Spain, we're talking of Luis Enrique, we're talking of a few of his controversial selections. We're also talking of the COVID-19 afflicted team there. And of course, those rules around COVID-19, right? No sport is very easy to be played, but still the Euros are being played out. What could be that mood? Take a long shot, take a guess from miles, thousands of miles apart, and tell us where your football coach is at, and tell us what could be going on in that camp right now.
Right. As you said at the outset, it's all clear. As you said, we are from thousands of miles away. We are reading through the journals, through the television, and everything, gathering information. Yes, Sergio Busquets and of course Busquets and this Lorente, they have got this COVID now. Busquets is not playing the first match, being the captain, the senior most guy who was there in the 2010 World Cup campaign. But having said that, I think this Lorente, he has tested 3, 4 times negative. So he will be joining the team. It's a basically, as you started off, there's no Real Madrid flavor in it. And Luis Enrique, we all know, was there with the Barcelona team. He had got such a great success story with them. And if you have a look at the composition of the team, you'll find a lot of the Man City players in the team, right? I named them Rodri, then there is Ferran Torres, then there is Laporte, Eric Garcia, you name four of them. So Man City means Pep Guardiola. Guardiola also a former Barcelona. And this has got all these relations, tiki taka and all these things. So I'll come to that later on. But as you say, the build-up is not too good with the Spain team. They had got a backup squad because of the COVID scenario. Now they overcome it, and right at the brink of the tournament, I think this is not the right build-up, as you said, not the right preparation. But then you have seen the great teams, because this is a new rebuilding phase going on for Spain. You can see the last Euro. They didn't do well in the 16. In the pre-quarters, they were eliminated. In the World Cup, the same thing happened. So 2000 onwards, 2018 onwards, they have a rough time going on. So it's a rebuilding phase. You can see I was watching through the squads. There is no Sergio Ramos. There is no Iniesta. Okay, a lot of the players has faded away. So in that context, I think this COVID, it's not a good build-up, but then only time will say. For example, today against Sweden, Spain at the even they're not doing well. They're sixth in FIFA ranking, so that's also good news
No,
for them.
that's the thing. That's the thing, even with their rankings in FIFA. I mean, if you look back at their last, in fact, we were researching these numbers, and
Right,
that's what Akshay
right,
and I were also discussing. You look back at the last decade, and you're aware of these numbers, but when you look at it closely ahead of a major tournament, that's when it hits you harder. Over the last 9 or 10 years, Spain haven't really done anything of note, and especially if you look back at for the 4 or 5 years before what they had done before that, it's a stark contrast. And the irony is also, of course, Chirma, you were talking about Sergio Busquets, who's tested positive. There's a false test for Diego Lorente. And with with isolation, the players haven't managed to train, right? In fact, their parallel shadow under 21 team took on Lithuania for that final warm up game. So it's not the ideal start, Chinmoy. And also the fact that, before I go to Akshay on Spain's build up and what we have been covering also on IndiaToday.in, it's a little shocking to absorb all of that together. But Chinmay, also the fact that Luis Enrique, he also commented something on the vaccine. He said he stirred up a
Right.
bit of a hornet's nest by saying that there could be side effects. That's not
Side
ideal for a
effects.
coach to say. That's not very ideal for a coach to say before a major tournament when the world is looking to get vaccinated. When we know the only way to fight COVID-19 is vaccination.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. You are, because see, I got vaccinated, and the day I got vaccinated, I trained myself. So I think this is, you're spot on. You're bang on, I would say. The fact is, if a coach speaks like that, see, they have been vaccinated. You have to accept it. Don't spread negativity.
Hmm.
Side effect as such doesn't. It's the research have shown in case of this vaccination. For some people, it causes a little bit of sort of body ache. It brings a little bit of body ache. Low in rare cases, fever. But as a coach of the team, you should have overlooked that. This is a little bit of exuding negativity, which I think, I'm afraid, I don't agree to it. I don't know what Akshay is going to say on this.
No,
Uh,
he's just
Raj,
actually he's just taken it to a different level. The coach here, right? I mean,
yeah,
this is very rare that we speak on a coach, and I can understand that he's being slammed from all ends. But this is football, and this is where it's one of the sports where you talk of the coach as being the boss. And by the way, Luis Enrique has himself stressed a lot of times that if a coach is not in charge of his team, then there's something wrong with that setup. And also, Akshay, before you take that on Luis Enrique's take on vaccination, it's also fascinating to note that he's not taken any Real Madrid player like we've discussed already, but that Nacho Fernandez exclusion would be hurting their fans the most. Why Nacho Fernandez,
yeah,
Dani Carvajal, Luca Vasquez? It's a lot of problems around that setup, but Nacho Fernandez's omission would be hurting them the most.
yeah. Rajeshi, this is not the first time we are hearing a top elite sportsman talking against vaccine. We all know who spoke against vaccine a couple of months ago. But this controversy about the vaccine has been really it's been controversial. Uh, Luis Enrique, we can't entirely blame Luis Enrique because Spain's Football Federation has been asking the Spain government over the last 2 months to vaccinate their players. But the government initially said, they won't be able to vaccinate. And in fact, they vaccinated all their Olympians. But in the lead up to the tournament, when the positive cases came up, then the government offered them an option of vaccination. And Enrique was quite skeptical because a couple of days in the lead up to the tournament, if you take vaccines, it's of course not right to blow up the effects of the side effects. But I can understand where Luis Enrique came from because
Hmm.
only two days ahead of the tournament they were vaccinated on Friday, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So that is understandable from Luis Enrique.
No, it is. It
And
is. It is. No, but still, just to clarify things, it's absolute common sense, and that's what science says. That's what logic says.
Yes,
That
yes,
vaccination is the only
absolutely.
way to fight
Yeah,
COVID-19. So, well, whatever Luis Enrique has said, he's stirred up a lot of controversies around
yes.
a lot of his conversation. We clearly do not subscribe to that. But apart from his
But
team selection, obviously there's always going to be debate. But there is no debate to the fact that vaccination is the only way you can fight
of
COVID
course,
19, and that's what we keep stressing on. And for like everybody on this panel is
and we have
vaccinated.
seen and we have seen how big a difference vaccination has made to people.
Of course, there's absolutely no debate on that. So, but yes, the debate will center around his omission of the Real Madrid
Yeah,
players. Also,
coming to
if you're
that,
a Real Madrid fan, would you be very happy if Spain do not even make it to the round of 16 and just say finish third or fourth in this group?
Rajesh, if
And
I can come in, the mood
yeah,
in Spain,
yeah.
local media report that they are not very hopeful of Spain doing a lot, and Real Madrid
Mm,
supporters will be watching Luis Enrique closely
yeah.
because he didn't pick Sergio Ramos citing injury concerns, and the decision was that he was told just 24 hours before the squad was picked, and recently Sergio Ramos has put out a Instagram post saying that he'll be supporting Spain from his home, and no matter what, he would have loved to play, but no matter what, he's supporting Spain. So that should settle the debate around Real Madrid. So Real Madrid fans, you guys should support Spain.
No, I'm sure
You know,
there'll
yeah.
be divisions everywhere. Football is such a passionate sport, Chinmoy. We've seen passions boil over really fast in this sport. Ankur Srivastava is saying was looking forward to your live discussion. Thank you, Ankur, and please pitch in with your comments, questions. We are happy to take questions on stats and team formations and combinations. But Chinmoy, this is a very peculiar build-up like we've been talking about on sports today. This is a very peculiar build up, but there will still be a lot of peculiar build up for Spain in this campaign. But it's a young squad. It's a very young squad. It's more inexperienced than experience. That quintessential mix of youth and experience is quite probably missing in the side because there's not a lot of experience in it. But then also Luis Enrique, someone like him who is so if I can use the word stubborn sometimes in his decisions that can also work, right? Those decisions, he might suddenly be more determined and say, well, look, I'll show you what I can do with such a young squad and without players from Real Madrid. That can also work for a team sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. What you're saying is correct. I just get into a little bit of tactics and all this stuff. Just because the Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola, right? These two guys brought in tiki taka. Now, tiki
Hmm.
taka till one point of time has been the talk of the town. You go across, they enjoyed it. What is tiki taka? Tiki taka is short passing, possession of the ball. It looks absolutely, it's a romantic sort of romanticism, like the Brazil of the 1980s, 90s. Okay, the tiki taka is a word that came from 2006 when a commentator was commentating. So that's the origin. Now, in every why I diverted here, the Spain is always connected with Brazil. They're the Brazil of Europe. They started saying, and with every big tournament, we come across some formation, something new. Like the Italians are the Catanaccio, right? It was Enzo Bearzot in 1982, and then it's passed on to Cesar Maldini, Trapattoni, all these guys. Very ultra defensive style. That really, but it worked for them. Now, this Guardiola and Luis Enrique in Barcelona did it. And in 2010, they did well, won the World Cup Championship. This 2008 and 12, Spain won the European. So they had a good thing going till now. Now, as you said rightly, the tiki taka has, I think, it has come to an end. So
Hmm.
Enrique is now trying to come out of it and build a team with his own thought, right? Because beyond a point, everything gets stuck, right? It's like cricket. You keep watching the videos and all, you get in. Somebody is strong in the offside, you find out what. So the opposition has found out the tiki taka. So
Hmm.
the thing is, what's the way forward? As you are asking, I think for this Spain side, it's a rebuilding process. It will take time. You can't win because the last 2018 in the World Cup and also 2016 Euro, they were eliminated in round of 16. Okay, now as rightly Akshay was saying, 180 matches for Sergio Ramos, the highest international matches. So I don't know really what works there, but they have got some very good youngsters in Pedri, right? He's doing very well. Senior guy Jordi Alba is there. De Gea, the goalkeeper, is a senior guy. So who knows? But as Akshay rightly says, I don't think we can expect a great thing in this tournament
Hmm.
from Spain. It's a rebuilding process, I would say.
No, absolutely, and Akshay. From taking from what Chinmay said, it's a rebuilding process, and Luis Enrique has showed his willingness to move away. How it's going to work out remains to be seen because clearly Spain is a team in transition. You look back at what has happened over the last decade, the better half of the last decade. you'd want to understand. You sort of understand what Luis Enrique is trying to do. I mean, look at it this way: only 6 out of the remaining 22 players called up featured in the qualifying campaign for the 2020. And tonight, probably only one player who started in the 2018 World Cup in the playing 11 for Spain could be featuring in the lineup. So there is a whole gamut of thoughts, and when you
Right.
have that gamut of thoughts, you also have to deliver. Because I get what Chinmay is saying, that you may not, but then the onus is that much on the coach to deliver, because Spain is a proud footballing nation. You're not North Macedonia that you want to come up and make a strong statement, or you're not Senegal that you want to come and make a strong statement. You will be under pressure to deliver.
But on the other side, Luis Enrique is known for his rebuilding. He rebuilt Barcelona when they were in the similar stage of transition between
Hmm.
2014 and 2017. And don't forget, Spain might have called a second string team, if you can call them so, but they are talented individuals. Like
Right.
Chinmoy rightly pointed out, Pedri, Rodri, Pau Torres. Pau Torres had a fantastic campaign for Villarreal, and they won the Europa League. And Ferran Torres, don't forget him. He scored a hat trick against Germany in their 6-0 win. So we
Hmm.
can't discount that they have talent. And Luis Enrique has done it with Barcelona in the past. And
Right.
it's also right that over the last 6-7 years they haven't had success. So instead of looking back to their past glory,
Hmm.
Enrique, I think, is looking ahead. He wants to take this team forward, but whether it works or not is something that we will be seeing. But the controversy around Real Madrid players could have been avoided. But Luis Enrique has a vision. He has always stayed that way. He doesn't mind what people are saying around him. He
Hmm.
has a method, and he has proved with that method also. But this seems to be a little bit difficult. But let's see what happens.
Absolutely. In fact, Sport Gossip is saying Luis Enrique's side plays as a team. It's a delight to watch them. Look, that's what we're talking about, right? It has been a delight to watch Spain. And like Chinmay rightly pointed out, that they've kind of moving away from their traditional style of play. How much of that they can deliver, especially against Sweden, Chinmay? How do you assess Sweden's lineup? Because they've also had their own issues, not as daunting as Spain's probably, but they still have their own issues with linking players linking up. So it's and Sweden and Spain. Would it be fair to say that this is almost a 40-60 chance, 60-40 chance for Sweden tonight to get past one across Spain?
I would suggest, see, even Sweden, as you said, has got the COVID issue, right? They were also badly struck, two of the players. And this Ibrahimovic, Zlatan, he was 5 years away from international football. He made a comeback, got injured. So the senior guy would have added to that. I mean, given the boost, the impetus in the line, he is missing. Now, Sweden, for example, they're ranked 12 at the moment in the world. You can go through the history. There are certain teams who are good in certain days, but then they're stuck within this pre-quarter final. I mean, they will fade away. So there are these European teams. Typically, I've seen I was looking at their history. It's around a quarter-final round till that. So, for example, Spain, they're big guys because of the fact that they can pull through. You look at the six major teams. They have the history of going to the semi-final and final and then conquering the trophy. So
Mm.
Sweden, for me, today, I think it will be 60 in favor of Spain and 40 in favor of Sweden. Okay, now Akshay is very right in saying, if you look at the talent pool, I think Spain is way ahead. There are,
Mm.
see, who knows, as you're saying, this may be the rough time going through it, but all these guys like Ferran Torres, the way he plays in Man City, Pedri, young guy in Barcelona, 18 years of age. Okay, so these guys are very good. Rodri, as you're saying, so somewhere and somewhere you have to start one day. Even all these great teams, they started somewhere someday. So at
No,
any
and
day,
yeah,
if you ask me between the two teams, I'll always go for Spain. I'll
yeah,
always go for Spain.
you're right, because I was when you were talking about it, I was just thinking back on of Spain, back from the 2010 World Cup team to that
Right.
building up to that core squad, and they've had players who just suddenly burst into the scene. They've obviously gone on to do very well, and the 2010 World Cup squad. Remember, that was a great mix of youth and experience. Some of those would want to become legends in Spanish
Right.
football, and they had already established themselves. So they have a way of doing things, right? And here a lot of questions are coming up because they're moving away from the traditional way of Spanish football, Akshay. But before we wrap this up quickly, some very good points from both Chinmoy and Akshay, and a very scintillating show. It's always fun to do this around Spain, and I like what Chinmoy said about Spain
Can I
wanted.
say one word? Can I say one
Yes,
word?
yes.
See, the fact is, at times, Akshay was right. You have to take some hard decisions. Just look
Mm,
at Italy. Roberto Mancini, what he has done, he has come out of the traditional ultra
yeah.
defensive method, has come in it's a very refreshed, it's a
Mm,
transformed look. In the same way,
yeah.
I think Enrique is taking some harsh decisions.
Mm,
Ramos, I think he's great. He's great as a player, 180, but someday you have to take a call. So
mm.
who knows? It's a fresh idea, and it might work like Roberto Mancini is delivering. So that's what I
Because just
feel.
to play the devil's advocate, though, just to play the devil's advocate, yes, he has taken some hard stance. He has taken a hard stance, especially regarding a couple of these players from Real Madrid. But a lot of people, including us, including myself, for instance, we haven't quite bought into his reasoning, right? And because we're obviously waiting for the results to deliver, but we also haven't bought into his reasoning for Real Madrid, especially Anancho Fernandez. There are questions that are going to keep coming up through this campaign, of course, until they keep progressing and they keep getting better and they show results through the course of this tournament. But yes, I completely agree with a lot of your other points in that they had to kind of move on from what they have been doing, and because it hasn't quite given a lot of results, and you can bank on the young squad to also work wonders. And probably Real Madrid fans will heave a sigh of relief and say that okay, this is a Spanish football team at the end of the day, and we'll wait and watch. But Akshay, quickly, Sweden taking on Spain. How do you see that? How we've been covering a lot of these previews, covering a lot of these stats around these matches. How do they stack up? What is the prediction like, and what is the formation coming out?
I'd say 2-0 in favor of Spain. And I'm not gonna doubt Chinmoy's predictions from now on because he got it right for Belgium Russia match. He said 3-0 and it
Uh,
was 3-0.
yeah,
And one more thing, Raj, I want to add here, Luis Enrique said a very beautiful thing at the press conference. He said, after what I've been through, this is child's play.
yeah.
He has a lot of things, but he has gone through a lot with his daughters passing away and
Yeah.
all that. And
Mm,
I
mm.
hope he can walk his talk and do well with Spain. And I expect them to win today, 2-0.
Spain three, Sweden one, says Sport Gossip. Chinmay, your prediction?
I just tell it will be Spain 2-1. Let's see. 2-1.
Okay,
Let's see.
Chinmay has been very accurate with his prediction. So can I also ask you who the scorers would be tonight?
Me,
Yeah.
I have a liking for Ferran Torres, right?
Okay.
So Torres and this is one I can say Torres. I love him.
Okay.
Next one I can't predict.
Give a brace to Torres,
Torres I like.
probably. Give a brace to Torres.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yes, Akshay, you want to take a prediction of who is going to score three for Spain or two for Spain, like you said?
I'd also stick with Torres because Morata has been struggling to find the back of the net. So I think Torres.
Okay, all right then. Torres, it is. He seems to be the center of attention on sports today. We'll see what he does. Well past midnight India time, and of course we'll be back with lots of updates. Akshay will be back tomorrow at 10 in the morning to give you all the lowdown. But also before I go, quickly touch on what is happening around Christian Eriksen. He is still being attended to at the hospital. Casper Steimel's father, Peter Steimel, in fact, said that there's a bit of controversy coming out of that situation. Where Peter Steimel has said that it wasn't entirely the player's decision to go out and take the game on against Finland. That UEFA had apparently given them three options. One was to immediately start the game, or come back on Sunday and resume the game and finish the rest of the 50 minutes, or forfeit the game to Finland 3-0. Kasper Steimel, of course, if you remember, he wasn't very happy with the fact that the game had started. The players needed some psychological assistance. So there's been a lot of talk around that. We'll be on top of that situation as well. But the talking point, of course, is Spain versus Sweden at 12:30 a.m. India time, a little half an hour after midnight on the 15th of June. That is a few hours from now, exactly 4 hours from now. And you've heard what Chinmay and Akshay have said. Thank you so much again, gentlemen. We'll wait and watch. We'll wait and watch how this pans out. 2-1 Spain Sweden for Chinmay, 2-0 Spain for Akshay. I'd go with 1-0 for Spain, Sweden. We'll see how this goes. How this goes. A lot of we're in fact getting a lot of comments as well. Akshay Chinmay SK Pradhan 053 says Torres and Moreno. So we'll see. Torres seems to be the overwhelming favorite on Sports Today tonight, and we'll definitely keep a watch, and we'll get to know more about it at 10 in the morning and our analysis of the Euro games tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe to Sports Today. Please spread the word. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues about Sports Today, about what we are doing. We're doing a lot of special things on Sports Today around the World Test Championship. You listen to Boria Mujumdar's interview with VVS Lakshman. That was another stoler, another gem from Boria. Of course, he's interviewed David Warner, Dinesh Karthik, Brendan McCullum, Mithali Raj, Vida Krishnamurti, leading up to this World Test Championship final starting Friday. Of course, we'll be doing a lot of stuff around the Euro. You've seen what we've done around the French Open final. And of course, we're already building up to the Tokyo Olympics. So please do watch and subscribe to Sports Today. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Stay safe.